Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the CIU podcast series. I am your host, Dr. Amar. I think I've given my introduction in past podcasts also, but if you have not seen them, you're seeing this for the first time. I'm the Associate Dean for the DBA program here. It's now my fourth year working with CIU, and it is always a pleasure to come across students who are doing wonderful, who have done amazing job. And one of the student is here with us, Raphael. A very big round of applause, Raphael. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
So
you.
we're going to start with this podcast. So Raphael, can you share a little bit about yourself, your background?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you, Dr. Amar, for inviting me to this podcast. It's really a pleasure. A little bit on myself. I'm originally from Antwerp, Belgium, born and raised. Now, if you want to picture it, waffles. If you've never been there, waffles, diamonds, chocolates. That's what Antwerp is Belgium famous for. And I want to share a little bit about myself, my background as well. My dad and grandfather were both watchmakers. They were real detailed oriented guys. I mean, my dad was just so punctual. He was so precise that if he said 9:03, he meant 9:03. Not a minute earlier, not a minute later. The man ran on Swiss time, and even we were not really Swiss. So I really admired his craft of watchmaker. But I knew early on that my path would be different. I wasn't really interested in repairing watches, but I was deeply curious about something else and what makes people tick on the inside. And in my own way, I've continued sort of the family tradition, but instead of fixing timepieces, I became interested in repairing inner time. And that what drives that, everything that drives us, how we connect, what gives our lives meaning. And that was sort of the psychology that I was interested in. And I didn't want to ignore it. And I really wanted to move forward into that field. As well as business was another area that I was always very interested in. So I basically was interested in a successful career through business, through psychology, but something different. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to pursue something that is, what is a successful career? And I want to have it something meaningful. So I basically joined a master's program. So enrolled myself in an international MBA at the University of San Diego at the time, and it was back in the 90s, because I was very interested in business. And that pretty much kicked off a very pretty wild ride, I would say. I worked for different companies. I moved across states, met people from all over the world. I learned a lot about business, but even more about people, cultures. And today, I lead a global procurement team at a rare disease pharmaceutical company. And honestly, it's one of the most rewarding parts of what I do. What I really love is the mix of working with people from all kinds of backgrounds who bring completely different perspectives, ways of thinking, approaching to solving problems. One person can be analytical, the other could be emotional. Everybody brings a different lens. And honestly, I think those perspectives can collide, and in the best way, that's where the magic happens, because I believe it's that tension where the best ideas live, people that give all those different perspectives.
No, I think I just want to add one thing, that what you're saying is so correct, because even I'm a very firm believer that we all are very different and similar at the same time.
Exactly.
We all come from different cultures, different background, different thought processes. We have different upbringings, but we have so many similarities at the same time. And maybe that is something that caught your eye, but what you were saying in the starting, that how we all, what ticks in ourselves, the clock within ourselves, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, also to add, I'm on a diet. So as soon as you said Belgian waffles, my eyes just went up and I was like, okay, now I know what am I supposed to break my diet with.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Raphael, for sharing things about you and your background. And I just want to add that um, we all are really very proud to have a charismatic student like you here at CIU, not just because you have performed very excellently in your courses with us here, but also that you're a published author and you have a novel that you have written. So coming on to that, can you share with us how did you first discover logotherapy and what is that the interesting things about the journey that eventually led from a capstone project from you creating a whole novel, like a whole book out of it?
Yes, thank you for that. So it all started, I would say, I was always interested in, as I was mentioning earlier, in psychology. So someone mentioned about Viktor Frankl. I had no idea who it was. And so I went at the time, if you remember Borders bookstores, I picked up the book Man's Search for Meaning. And it was really amazing. I really liked it. I liked the idea. I liked the concept, the psychology behind it. And I was researching what else after the book, what else can I find? And I found the institute, the Viktor Frankl Institute that was located in Texas. I reached out to them and I said, I'm very interested in knowing more about logotherapy. So they told me there is a program that you can actually complete. It has 5 courses. And back then, the 90s, if you recall, no YouTube, no Zoom, all the material through the mail, actual paper, postage, and all the other things. So it was really interesting. So I signed up, I started working through it, and I took it very slowly. The reason for slowly, because life happened, right? You know, I explored new career paths. My wife and I had raised 2 incredible daughters. So it took a little bit of time to complete all of that. Then, if you recall, 2020 happened. Like so many of us, the pandemic was a full stop, right? But with that pause came space to reflect, to reassess, and say, okay, what can I do? And I was not interested in creating an academic paper. I decided to do something different. I wanted to write something for everyone. So you do not need a psychology degree. You didn't have to buy a psychology textbook. I wanted to write something for everyone, for just a real human creative story that brings the core ideas of logotherapy to life. And that was really my motivation, is to bring logotherapy for everyone. You could be a teacher, you could be a business leader, a therapist, a student, no matter your background. So I shared it to the Global Logotherapy Congress, and that was back in 2023, and I had zero expectations. And I was really encouraged. There were so many people that were like very interested and said, oh, wow, it's really great. And it was really humbling and surreal because they really said to me, you should publish it.
Yeah.
So last month, I published The Man Who Lost Track of Time. And so far, I've been very excited about it, encouraging. We have scheduled this podcast. We had the webinar last month. We have a book signing coming up. And there is a local college that's very interested in me teaching a course. And I'm looking forward to that this fall. But you know, at the end of the day, logotherapy, it is all about, you know, meaning. Frankl believed that it's not about pleasure, it's not about power, but it's really meaning that drives us. So that's the message of the book, and that's something that I really want to carry forward to everyone when they, you know, pick up the book or want to know more about logotherapy.
And it's just incredible to see the journey that you have, because I completely understand what you're saying, that during early 90s where there was very less availability of resources for people to go, people to learn, people to like figure out digital mediums, you still wanted to stuck with it. That shows real dedication. And from, you know, from a student to being a father to being a researcher to being a published author to getting your DBA is just wonderful, wonderful experiences that you're adding in your own life's journey. So talking a little bit about your book, I think I personally, and also the viewers who are going to listen to the podcast, I think everybody would be very much interested to know a little bit more about your book. Maybe you can tell us like what is your favorite passage, because few months ago I was talking to a friend of mine. He's a writer, and he told me something very surprising. Is like when we start writing, there is something that shifts in us when we complete the book, or when we are somewhere in the middle of the book, that changes our perspective as well as a writer. So maybe you can talk a little bit about something when you were writing your book, anything that you felt like, oh, you were yourself surprised knowing that, or maybe a passage from your book that you want everybody to know about.
Absolutely. So very, very brief. So the book is called The Man Who Lost Track of Time. Again, it's no typical work of fiction. It was written with purpose to serve as a kind of bridge between storytelling and logotherapy. So the book, very brief, follows Jonathan, a middle-aged lawyer who on the surface has it all: success, wealth, respect. But underneath there is this quiet emptiness he can't explain. And I wanted to use this journey to reflect something I see in today's world. The focus, me, myself, and I, chasing success for its own sake. So the book is really a wake-up call. If there is no deeper meaning what we're doing, that path can lead to burnout, emptiness, or worse. And that's why I wanted to sort of create, it's a short story. It shouldn't take you longer than an hour to read, but I wanted to make sure it's very powerful so people can take it and everybody will have a different meaning out of it. I hope, interesting, because at the end of the day, it is sort of a wake-up call. It's about realizing that meaning isn't something you have to chase halfway around the world. It can be found right here. Sometimes in small, quiet moments we tend to overlook. So again, going back to your question about my favorite passage, I would say there is a part, and probably in the beginning, there is a dream that, and he has a lot of dreams, Jonathan, but one of them is a vivid dream that he's on a train. He's watching through the windows as his life plays in reverse, and his memory is drifting by like passing landscapes. And when the train finally stops, he sees a lot of signs. So he's in train, he sees all of those moving passages and landscapes, and then suddenly the train stops. And at that point, he sees choices, he sees people, and he's sort of, okay, what else? It's sort of a reflection. And I think that's a powerful one, because I think if you put yourself in that situation, if you are on a train, the next time you're taking a train ticket and you look through the windows and you say, okay, this is all the landscape, but looking back at your own life, what would you see? What experience carried you to where you are now? And more importantly, if you were to choose a future grounded in meaning and purpose, what would it look like? So I think that passage is very strong because it shows or tells you that you have to reflect and see what is there, how have you been, where have you been in the past, where are you now, and what is the future? And that I think is nice about logotherapy. It's not only focusing on, the now or the past and trying to understand what the past is important. It's important to know where you have been and where you are today. And then where you are today, I think it's important to see, how can I change my life to where I want to be? So don't be stuck in the past. The past is history and important, but I think it's important to know also where you want to go future-wise. And I think you will have a lot of opportunities and options if you go about it and take action and take a responsibility to make a difference.
It's a beautiful metaphor, like, like as everybody says, life is a journey. And if you board a train, You have done things in the past, you are going forward for your future, and in between is the whole journey of what choices you made that led you from your past to your future. Talking about me, if I look at my life like that, there are so many stations I would like to skip and just jump onto the other one if I'm doing a train ride. Trust me. But yeah, I think it's very nicely written because when you were speaking about it, I can imagine certain things in my own mind. So that's one of a very good thing of a beautiful writer is when you read their work, you can make scenarios of how it looks like in your mind. So that's wonderful. Okay, so now from your book, from logotherapy, let's talk a little bit about academics. So you are now a student here at CIU, you're doing your DBA. So what motivated you to study at this point of your career? I know you have family to take care of, you have your writing career, you have this thing in yourself that you are made to do something bigger, better that you're investing into. But at this point of your career, at this point of your life, what made you go back to education and you thought about I should get my DBA? And how is your experience so far with us?
Right. So I can say I was always curious, and I think that's very important. You have to continue to be curious. And I always wanted to know, learn more. And I was looking at a lot of doctoral programs, and there are a lot of them out there. What drew me to CIU's DBA program was how different it felt. I, I was looking for a DBA program that is really catered to professionals and entrepreneurs who aren't really necessarily chasing titles, but who want to deepen their impact. I mean, the DBA at CIU, I believe it's grounded in real world experience, and that really spoke to me. And most important is instead of a traditional dissertation, which a lot of programs have,
Yeah.
the program allows students to apply their research skills to real world programs or business challenges, which I think is very important and valuable. So it's not just about writing papers, it's about creating something tangible, relevant, something that you actually can make a difference in your field or community. So that is hands-on, that you can apply it and make a difference. And that basically that attracted me to DBA at CIU. Um, so again, for me, the journey isn't just about a career growth. It's about becoming more equipped, more thoughtful, I would say more strategic, so that I can, help others find meaning in their lives as well, for me personal as well as professionally. And so I think it will bring a new lens on my work, which has already done by, reading all the materials and so on, but also how do we apply it in practice? And that's what I find that the DBAs at CIU really presented to me. And after now, I think 6 months or so, I really am not disappointed. I'm really excited about it, and looking forward to this practical project, which I believe is in year 2 of the program.
And we all become very happy when students go through the journey and they feel very happy with it because it's like what you see is one course shell with you in it, but there is a lot of people who work behind it to create that course shell, to create all the work, to create all the series of courses, the series of project, how will you move forward with. So it's like it's a team effort, it's a combined effort, and we feel very happy students go through it and enjoy the process. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Something that I would also like to discuss here is like, what would you say to other professionals that you work with or that you know, but also to students who are curious in diving a little deeper into this? Like whether it could be anything, like whether they're thinking to write a book or exploring logotherapy, starting a new academic chapter. Sometimes you talk with friends and they say like, even I want to go back and do my master's, I couldn't finish it. So what is your giveaway to them?
I would say follow that curiosity. That's number one. You need to be curious, and you need to figure out what it is. But at the end of the day, you don't need a perfect plan. What
Mm,
matters is something that is calling, you, and that's worth paying to attention. For me, again, as I mentioned, writing a book, diving deep into logotherapy was not part of some master plan. It's basically started with a question, curiosity of finding the book of Viktor Frankl. And by following that, it opened other doors, unexpected ones. Like last month, I was invited to attend the board of the Viktor Frankl Institute. So sometimes it's really follow your passion, whatever is you're passionate about, and don't underestimate your lived experience as well, your voice, whatever you've experienced. You just have to remain authentic, curious, and willing to grow. And I think I think it's important is to explore whatever you're interested in. Again, it's step by step, it's small little pieces, and from one end to the other. And before you know, you grow. Again, Rome wasn't built in one day. And the same thing here is you need to follow, and whatever comes to your path, embrace it with all your open arms.
That's a very good advice. And I think the moral, sometimes when I do these podcasts, like the moral comes into my mind. So I think the moral of this podcast is be curious. Curiosity didn't kill the cat. What killed the cat was the cat didn't know when to stop being curious.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like be curious, get to know more things, learn more things, read more, because that's the information, the knowledge is out there for you to gain. If you have problems, reach out to people who know solutions, get yourself enrolled, learn a little bit more, know a little bit more. So that's something that is just in my mind when we were talking about everything. And is there anything else? So I would like to conclude this podcast now. We got a lot of amazing information from you, Raphael. Is there anything you would like to end this podcast, or like a happy note, or like a closing remark that everybody who's listening this should get out of this podcast?
Absolutely. Again, thank you, Dr. Amar. But I would say from the story, if Jonathan's story resonates with you, or if you ever found yourself wondering about the direction your own life is heading, I would really encourage you to take a few quiet minutes sometime this week. No agenda, no checklist, just some space to ask. One, what gives my life meaning right now? And am I making room for it? That kind of reflection doesn't need to be dramatic, but sometimes the smallest moments that carry the biggest insight. So I would say, take this time to reflection. If you're more curious, you want to dive deeper, feel free to, search my book, The Man Who Lost Track of Time. It's available at, major bookstores. But take that time and stay curious, and be always interested to learn more, because you never know what happens and you never know what comes to on your path. So embrace it, and keep searching for what gives your life meaning.
Perfect. So I would request all the listeners who are listening to this podcast, please listen to it, and then below in the comment section, write what is the purpose of your life. Like take that minute, take those 2 minutes of your time, take a pause and just mention what is the purpose of your life. What makes you curious? What are you here for, basically? Right there, share with us so we can go through it. We can see what everybody is doing. And if there's anything that we can help you all with, we'll definitely reach out. So I would like to end this podcast by saying, guys, this is the CIU podcast series. Please subscribe, follow us, share it with your friends, and come join us. We do very good education. We do education that works for you. So thank you, Raphael, for being here. Thank you so much for giving us the time of your day. And it was such a pleasure to chat with you today.
Thank you, Dr. Amar.
Thank you.